Premier Kathleen Wynne and the Liberal government have been trumpeting the Cisco deal as good for Ontario, saying it will bring more jobs, talent and expertise to our province. But critics suggest otherwise, seeing it as little more than a subsidy that Queen's Park shouldn't have a hand in. Let's debate this further with Eric Hoskins. He's the Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Employment and the MPP for St. Paul's riding. And his two opposition critics, Jane McKenna, the PC member for Burlington, and Catherine Fife, who's the NDP member for Kitchener-Waterloo. And still not too late to say Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Welcome back to our studio. Okay, we know some of the particulars of this deal, the length, the money, anticipated job creation, but there's a lot of sketchiness, I guess, around the rest of the details. Anything you want to fill in that we don't know already?
Sure. Well, first of all, this is the biggest job creation announcement in the high-tech history of this province. In the first 6 years, the target is creating an additional 1,700 jobs on top of the 1,300 that Cisco currently have in the province, 1,700 new jobs. But the target 10 years out is actually to create 2,000 more on top of that for a total of 3,700 new jobs. But it's a lot more than that. It's building facilities, it's focusing on training as well, it's focusing particularly on youth to work with them in the schools and provide them with employment opportunities. Out of the roughly $4 billion that Cisco is investing over the next 10 years, $2.2 billion is going into salaries. And so these are well-paying jobs. They're important jobs in a cluster, in the high-tech cluster, which is extremely important in Ontario. In fact, in Ontario, we're the third largest high-tech cluster or sector in all of North America, after
mostly
California
Ottawa
and
and Toronto,
Texas.
then, where the jobs
Mostly Ottawa and Toronto.
Okay.
Cisco has a presence in Waterloo and London, though, as well.
Let's get some reaction. First impressions of the deal, Jane McKenna?
I don't believe in corporate welfare, and I certainly don't believe in picking winners and losers. I mean, in 2011, the Liberal government gave Cisco $25 million to create 300 jobs, and they created 200. So right off, past behavior is indicative in the future, and right there they were off 100 jobs. This isn't our position to do this. We have a massive debt and deficit right now, and coming up with $240 million, we're not in a position to be doing that. We have scarce resources. We need to, be very mindful of that right now.
Catherine Fife.
We're supportive of strategies that create jobs. Ontario is hurting. People want to work. We have a job shortage situation in this province. We have not recovered as some of the other provinces have, like Manitoba and like Quebec. We share the concerns around the Liberal government picking and choosing winners. When you look at the Southwestern Development Fund, for instance, there was supposed to be a board that was established to look at the application process. Instead, we still see the minister and the ministry and bureaucrats making those decisions about who gets what. We also don't have enough information about the Cisco deal.
What do you want to know?
I want to know, what are the guarantees around jobs? I want to make sure that this company is not going to turn their back on the government and the people of this province, because it's not the Liberals' money, it's the people of this province, it's their money.
Let's see if we can find some stuff out here. Do you flow money to them in terms of the subsidy before the jobs are created?
There are specific performance measures and thresholds that they have to cross before the money flows. So we have among perhaps even the strongest accountability measures in this agreement that we've ever had for any firm in a partnership like this. So if they don't meet that target in 6 years of 1,700 jobs, in fact, we're even holding back roughly a third of the total. And in fact, in that first 6 years, it's 190 million. I know the reference previous was to 220 million. It's actually 190 in that first 6 years. We're holding back roughly a third of that until the very end. If they don't meet that target of salaries in terms of investments, that $2.2 billion I was talking about, as well as 1,700 jobs, they don't get that additional funds, roughly, I think it's $57 million.
So is that accountability strong?
But there's much more than that.
Is it the same kind of deal that you established with Samsung? Because you're rewriting that contract as we speak. Mm-hmm. I mean, quite honestly, the Liberals, obviously there's a trust issue with the way that you negotiate contracts, and there's a lack of transparency with how that money does flow. So there are some big questions out there. That said, I mean, there are some proven ways to create jobs in the province. It's around investing in capital, investing in training.
But philosophically, you don't have a problem with this?
Well, philosophically, I want to see new jobs created in the province of Ontario. We don't know that actually new jobs are going to be created in the province of
Jane
Ontario.
McKenna, let me follow up with you on this. Because I take your point, you don't like corporate welfare, and you sound a bit like David Lewis from the early 70s when he said, I don't, no more corporate welfare bums in the country. But we're told today everybody does this. And if you don't do this, the jobs won't come here, they'll take them somewhere else. What do you say about that?
It's a Band-Aid approach. You know what, we need to create the conditions for businesses to thrive here. First and foremost, we need to get the fundamentals in order. We need to, reduce regulations. We need to, I've gone totally blank here, reduce regulations. We need to create the environment, right, for people to be able to want to come and be here. We need to modernize labor laws. We need to invest in our highways and our infrastructure. It's important to get, our lower taxes, right, get affordable energy under control. I mean, we need to create the environment for people to want to be here.
Do you need to do this as well?
No, but I don't think these are Band-Aids, right? These are just throwing one thing after another. This is 1,700 jobs. I mean, the Green Fit program was supposed to create 50,000 jobs. Every one job that was created for were lost. And out of the 31,000 jobs that they say that they had, they were contracted jobs that we no longer have. It's all lip service to me.
Well, Steve, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that Jane is describing this as corporate welfare. It doesn't surprise me that she's against this sort of partnership because her party was against the support that we provided to the auto sector back in 2009, which protected the jobs, the tens of thousands of jobs in GM and Chrysler. We now have a thriving auto sector which has the best sales in Canada.
But if I may, that was different. Those were two companies in distress that would have gone out of business and tens of thousands of people would have been unemployed had you not stepped in. That's not the case here. This is a profitable company, makes lots of money, and I guess some people are asking, if this is such a good place to do business, why do you have to bribe them to come here?
Well, this isn't only about Cisco. This is about what's good for Ontario, that these are good paying jobs. It's 1,700 jobs in the next 6 years alone. And it's more than just the jobs and employment that provides. It's also working to create an ecosystem. And these are all R&D positions. They're positions as well for young individuals emerging out of colleges and universities. So as I mentioned, we're the third largest tech sector in North America, and this is going to help create a global hub in R&D in Ontario,
I get
in the
that,
world.
but if all of that is so abundantly clear, why do we have to bribe them to do this?
Well, because as the others, I think, you referenced as well, it is a very competitive environment. I mean, there are states in the United States that are providing up to 60% of the total cost of an investment. This is roughly 5% of the total investment that Cisco is making. There are states as well that are providing tax holidays of up to 10 years. They're providing incentives, financial incentives to senior executives to come. And as the Canadian Vice President of Cisco mentioned at the press conference that we held in announcing this deal as well, he said that they meet with governors and presidents and individuals every single day that are trying to incent them to come to their state or their jurisdiction around the. You can either put your head in the sand or you can play in the game and actually land these deals, which are going to be game changers in terms of solidifying the tech sector in this province and helping to grow jobs.
So you just said the word. You said the deal. So you're making a deal with one company,
Right.
and that. When you're looking to create conditions for investment in the province of Ontario, you have to apply it in a holistic way. So if it's good, if R&D investment is good for Cisco, then it's good for the small and medium-sized enterprises across the entire province, and that draws investment into the province, and that creates jobs. Small and medium-sized businesses are better value for your dollar, and we know that, and the evidence supports it. And when you're looking at rewarding the job creators, that's something that we are missing in the province of Ontario. And Eric, I asked you this question in the House. When Heinz has gone to a state that offered a job creator tax credit because they want those jobs, they are creating the conditions for investment in that state. They stole those jobs from the province of Ontario, and we watched them do it. You watched them do it. We
Heinz
need
shut
to
down companies in the States as well.
Well, but you know what? The states that are actually incentivizing job creation and demonstrating that to those employers that the investment is worth it, those jobs go there. And when we see manufacturing dying in this province, we need to be targeted and strategic about where we're putting that money.
Let me, Jane,
Sorry,
you wanted
I
to say
just want to
something.
jump in, first of all, because we did support, they were extraordinary circumstances with the entire sector for GM and Chrysler at the time. But let's be realistic, okay? So, you know, the money's given over to them. And then the reality is, so then why do I want to look at the big picture thing? So why can we not always look for a return on our investment and look at evidence-based outcomes in the end? So here's the automakers last year, 2009 actually, they put $42.3 billion back into North America. Canada got $2.3 billion of that. is a red flag to me. Like they're prepared to take the subsidy from us, but they're not prepared to invest back in us. 2 days ago in the paper, GM's out saying they're going to invest $1.3 billion into 5 manufacturing facilities, all in the United States. So I want to look at, here's the thing. We want to make sure that things grow, but who are we to pick winners and losers? And here, so you've got Cisco coming. So are you going to now, does it stop there? Or are you going to have the competition come in like Mittal, and then you're going to give them the same thing? Like, why can we not just create the environment for people to want to be here? We're competitive, and people come and take people from here now because you've made it a have-not province.
Well, the reality is we have created that environment. So we have one of the lowest tax jurisdictions, corporate tax jurisdictions in North America, if not the OECD as well. We invest $35 billion in infrastructure over each 3-year period, so we're investing in that. We've got the most talented workforce, I would argue, probably in the Western world, if not the world at large. So the talent pool is extraordinary. The sort of the stability and access to market that businesses are looking for. I mean, that's the reason that Cisco came here, and that's the reason why we're #1 on a per capita basis in terms of foreign direct investment in North America. Ontario is #1 in attracting foreign direct investment into this province, and I should say that over 90% of the projects that do come here to this province, Steve, don't require any incentive. But there are those like Cisco, who are truly global players that have thousands of people in India, for example. They're making these difficult decisions, and they're making them on financial and other bases.
But that does raise an issue. You say 90% of the companies that do business here don't need these kinds of financial incentives. But if you make a deal with company A, do you not expect company B, C, D, E, and F to be knocking at your door the next day saying, okay, you're giving it to them, how about us?
Well, we look very carefully at what the parameters are in terms of job creation, in terms of the capital investment as well, and we're doing it in all sectors. We do it in food and food processing. We're doing it with the auto sector, with aerospace as well. There are specific cluster life sciences that we look at each project individually, and we have a very rigorous due diligence approach to make sure that the added value is there for Ontario. We only step in when there's sort of 3 parameters that are looked at first, and one is the reason why businesses come here, market opportunity, the cost parameters as well. I talked about the tax rate. Small businesses, for example, we have very generous business supports that we provide to small, medium, and large-sized businesses, low corporate tax rate, and they look at the talent pool. If those 3 things aren't enough for them to make that positive decision, then sometimes, and again, it's a very competitive environment out there. We look, if we feel that this partnership is so important to Ontario in terms of creating high value, in this case, high tech jobs.
You step in at that point. Here's a question I need to ask you as a follow-up then. If Tim Hudak, instead of Kathleen Wynne, had been in the Premier's chair while this deal was potentially being negotiated, would he really look across the table at the people from Samsung and say, I'm sorry, we don't believe in corporate welfare, take your 1,700 jobs and go somewhere else? Okay, so I'm not going to speculate that, but I am going to say this. We spend $2 to $3 billion subsidizing companies in Ontario every year. Could we not be putting that in infrastructure? I mean, there's so many more things we could be doing. That's a lot of money to be winners and losers as we're picking in and out. No, I just don't believe that. Tim Hudak has a plan. When he becomes premier, Ontario's going to be open for business again. Here's the reality of it. You can't constantly just do Band-Aids back and forth. You need to create the environment for people to want to be here and want to stay here and have their operational costs so they're actually making money. Is this part of creating the environment?
Pardon me?
Is this part of creating the environment?
No, it's not, no, because exactly what you're saying. Then what if competition comes and says, okay, all of a sudden you've given it to them? I mean, they made $9.8 billion last year in their fiscal year end, Cisco. So, all of a sudden now they need $240 million from us to come over here. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I just want to say nobody believes that Tim Hudak has a plan for this economy. I mean, attacking public sector and the public services actually is a detractor from investing in businesses in Ontario. It's the infrastructure, the social infrastructure, the healthcare, the education. When one party attacks all of those institutions holistically, that's not good for the business of the province. But if it was Andrea Horwath sitting down, she would present a holistic plan around energy costs, for instance, which are outrageous in the province of Ontario. She would address the infrastructure and the transit that needs to happen. For instance, in Kitchener-Waterloo, you have companies like Google that are transporting their own employees back and forth because, one, they can't get there safely on the 401, and two, the rail service actually doesn't work. It doesn't work for the people, and they won't use it. Those are smart investments to ensure that investment happens in the province of Ontario, Steve.
We do talk a lot of policy on this program, but you three are politicians, and we cannot escape the fact that all decisions, therefore, are filtered through a prism of politics, and we need to look at that angle of this thing. There's been some bad news on the job loss front in the almost a year that Kathleen Wynne has been Premier of Ontario. And let's talk about the brass-knuckle politics of this. Is this a deal you guys had to make because you just couldn't handle any more headlines like Heinz shuts down, takes 900 jobs away, and that kind of thing? You got to do whatever it takes, even maybe subsidizing more than you want to, creation of jobs in the province.
Well, this is potentially $220 million over 10 years, first of all. It's 5% of the total investment that Cisco is going to make. It's been a long time in the making as well, predating Kathleen Wynne being Premier of this province. My predecessor, Brad Dogood, and myself traveled to California. We've had this has been a deal that has received a great deal of due diligence. And I want to say that, that the markers for the economy in Ontario are actually very good. All right, so our unemployment rate is down to 7.2%. It's not as good as the federal rate, which is 6.9%, but that's largely because Alberta and Manitoba have unemployment rates because they're resource heavy of 4%. All right, we've created almost 500,000 jobs since the bottom of the recession. All of them full-time jobs, almost the vast majority of them in the private sector. The last month for which there's data, we created 14,000 new manufacturing jobs. It led Jim Flaherty, the finance minister in Ottawa, to declare that manufacturing in Ontario is bouncing back, his words. So we are actually certainly for this year, this calendar year, all of the banks and the economists are predicting that our GDP, our growth, economic growth, is going to take off. And we're going to see, and we are seeing, the growth in the number of jobs. And these are, I think, you'll agree that these are examples of good paying jobs, sustainable jobs. We've got accountability measures in this agreement which go far beyond, so the thresholds of jobs and investment need to be met by Cisco or they don't get our
No, I understand
funds.
that. What do you think the politics that's at play in all of this are?
I'm saddened when I actually hear you talk because, we have 600,000 people that woke up this morning still on, that don't have a job. We have 400,000 people that have stopped looking for a job. We have the highest rate of youth unemployment at 21%. I don't know what exactly, your stats and what you're looking at, right? We have a serious crisis right now. Our third largest expenditure after health and education is servicing a debt. We can't continue on the way we are. If it even goes up 1%, it's an extra $500 million. At what point is someone going to make the tough decisions and be a leader and do what needs to be done?
Well,
I can't tolerate the back and forth.
It's certainly not your leader, Jane, because, and I think this is where Catherine and I do agree, is that a right-to-work policy, a right-to-work for less policy, mimicking the U.S. states, which frankly many of them have higher unemployment rates than we do. It doesn't work, and the economists agree that it doesn't work. The slash and burn, the sort of reduction in the public service, as well as the good paying jobs that people rely on in this province, that the Conservative plan to eliminate those. You can call this corporate welfare if you want. We're making the investments to create the broader economic conditions and environmental conditions so the businesses want to come here, and they are coming here. We're number one in North America in terms of foreign direct investment. This is an important deal, and I'm interested to know from each of you, is the Cisco partnership to create 1,700 jobs, potentially 3,700 over 10 years. Do you support it or not?
Well, I'm going to just get back to the politics of it before I get to that point.
Come back to that.
The politics of this are everybody recognizes what they are.
What are
the
they?
Liberals are desperate to get out in front of a positive story. They had to manufacture their own positive story. They're very good at making announcements and cutting ribbons. They show up in ridings where they think that they can win seats, and they make announcements with very few details, as vague as you can get. They showed up and did a seniors announcement in my riding, and the seniors there in the adult rec center thought it was a euchre fund. So what is actually happening is that there's a change the channel. That is part of their strategy right now.
From what to what?
Well, they're trying to look competent on the economy, and this isn't anything personal against you, Eric, but quite honestly, the lack of trust in the Liberal government on job creation is profound.
Okay,
When you
said
go
that,
out to the rural, especially when you go into the rural communities.
Having said that, his question, do you support the deal or not?
I want to know what the deal is.
Well, he's told you.
No, he said that there are some conditions in place where you are trying to hold the company accountable for some job creation, when I really feel that the government has to create a holistic approach to job creation that levels the playing field for small, medium, and large enterprises across the province, not just one company.
Okay. This deal does not require a vote of the legislature, I assume, right?
No, it doesn't.
So it's a done deal.
It's a done deal. But provided that those thresholds, those accountability measures are met by Cisco every step along the way. And Catherine, frankly, I'm surprised because I know Cisco has a presence in Waterloo. I know there are a lot of high-tech people that are working, that are constituents of yours.
Cisco's doing well in Waterloo.
No, I know it is, and
so
I think that.
But I understand where you're getting the money when there's small and medium-sized, 1,000 startups that would turn whatever investment the government gave it.
But we're supporting them as well. We're supporting Communitech in Waterloo as well. We have 17,000 high-tech firms in the province. $35 billion is what they're contributing to the Ontario economy. This is an important partnership that is going to create a global research and development hub in Ontario, which will resonate across the globe. It's going to bring in other supply chain businesses as well. Mm-hmm. It's going to, I suspect, other big firms are going to want to be here as well because we've got a growing.
Eric, they're going to expect it.
And Jane, I'm not sure if you're supportive or not. I guess.
Well, you know what?
I'm pretty sure she's not. She's been pretty clear about that. Let me jump in for a second because we have a few minutes left, and I want to play just the last half minute or so of the previous discussion we had on the program because they had some advice for all of you. Okay. So we'll play that and we'll see what you think of the advice. Okay, roll tape, please.
For industries that are tradable, that is oriented around export markets, innovation intensive, and generate jobs that have higher productivity and higher incomes than average, it makes very good economic sense to do more of these deals, not less. But my advice would also be, don't just use the checkbook. Make sure you've got all the other tools: procurement policy, trade policy, infrastructure, capital investment policy. Make sure they're all aligned and doing the same thing, and you'll get some good success from that.
Dan?
The sun doesn't rise because the rooster crows, and the Canadian economy doesn't do well because Cisco arrived. It's the other way around, I believe. So the government should continue to spend its scarce resources on more macro and infrastructure policies.
Okay, like most ministerial briefings, you've got some conflicting advice there. What do you like?
Well, so Jim talked about the need for us to support companies that trade, that are innovative, and that provide well-paying jobs. Cisco does all three. So, and in fact, and he represents labor, and he's strongly supportive of this partnership as well. It's important for Ontario in terms of the job creation. It's focused specifically on young people as well. Cisco has a strong footprint across the country and the province, including in Waterloo, where it's supporting an innovative lab, as well as has a research chair there and at McMaster. This is a good corporate company that has made a significant investment in Ontario, and had we not been there and provided that partnership and the support, they would have gone elsewhere.
Dan pointed out a 10-year deal for a high-tech company. They may be out of business in 5 years. Right. What happens then?
Well, that's why we have the accountability measures. You know, they're a strong firm. They have, I think, 80,000 people worldwide. It's a big company. It's a leader in what they do in terms of building the architecture of the internet. And there's some fantastic, innovative ideas that are coming forward with the firm that, fortunately, are going to be developed here in Ontario. And it goes much more than the high-tech industry. This is going to be, and Jim had actually referenced this as well when he was talking earlier, that this is going to have spin-off benefit for virtually every sector in Ontario.
Less than a minute. Last comments
here.
It's
interesting that you forgot the last thing that Jim Stanford said was just don't use it, just don't cut them a blank check. Just don't use the checkbook.
We're not doing that.
And I think that there's some trust issues that when you say we're not, we promise, there's some trust issues around that.
So 5 years ago, Cisco was not in a good place. You know, the reality is you can't bear where they're going to be tomorrow or the day after that. You know, I'm all for the Ontario taxpayer, right? And I think they would honestly say, gee, it's $130,000 a job. If you've got 1,700 jobs, is that the wisest and the best value for Ontario taxpayers with Cisco? We're all for people to have jobs, but if we don't change the band-aids and the one-offs and who's right and it's just as easy to pick a loser as it is a winner and stop the corporate welfare, we got serious problems. When we do.
That's our time. Thank you, everybody, for a very civilized and informative debate here in TVO. Eric Hoskins, the MPP for St. Paul's, the Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Employment. Jane McKenna, the MPP for Burlington. Catherine Fife, MPP for Kitchener-Waterloo. Thanks, everybody.
Support Ontario's public television. Donate at tvo.org.